We've got a full day with all of the teams in action today after a day off yesterday for the Hearthstone part. Obviously, there was Battlegrounds all day yesterday. But this may be the match of the day, Sword versus Tianming. And that's because VK, as you can see, have been overtaken. They were 6-2. They've lost 3 in a row. And that's allowed IG to get to 7-4. And if they win this one, they'll be looking good at the top of the table, finally putting some distance between them and the rest of the field. As always, we are straight into the action, so just have a quick look at the lineup. Sword has got the Druid, the Warrior, the Demon Hunter and the Warlock. He's had his Druid banned out. Meanwhile, Tianming has got the same lineup, but has had his Demon Hunter banned out. Worth noting here that his Druid is the Dragon variant. That might matter if it comes up against the Warrior later on. It's a much better matchup than traditional Druid against the Warrior, at least for me. Starting off though with a Warlock Mirror, and we saw Tianming win one of these in his previous match against Omega Zero by passing a turn and Omega Zero playing a Netherwing to do the 3 damage that Tianming needed to be done. But it is a tempo matchup, but there's so many ways of defining that tempo. Obviously having minions on board, but do you want to do it via plot twist? Do you want to do it by getting 0 mana 9 drops? Lots of ways to generate that tempo. And playing around key numbers later on is a thing. 18 and 24, the magic numbers to not be on. Not right now. You know, these health totals will move all over the place. They will go low to start with, sometimes even very low, heal back up to sensible numbers, and then the game of chicken will begin. Sword off to a good start here though with these questing. I think you might be thinking of coining out the other one. The coin's so useful though for the lethals later on. Malagos and 2 1-drops often being required if nothing's reduced. That's 11 mana, so coin's good, but it will get plot twisted away at some point. And also he'll need to make some space. That is one of the big things in this matchup. How much room have you got in your hand to get your next lot of cards? Sometimes we'll see weird things like Moags just being played onto boards like this. All kinds of nonsense can happen. And this is where it will begin. Players now will have to start making space in their hands. And with neither of them picking up a plot twist, this could be a blowout for the one who does get the first plot twist. It doesn't usually work out like that. Of course, there are 2. It's not like you're racing to get a legendary card, like maybe some old Warrior control mirrors. But certainly the person who gets the first one is in the driver's seat here. Tianming certainly not got a hand I would want. Looks like a Dark Skies turn to me, but not going to be able to tap as well. So time is being lost every time he doesn't manage to tap. And he may be looking there, as you see, possibly playing 2 cards this turn, just to allow space next turn to draw and tap, if possible. It looks really weird, but it makes a lot of sense in the bigger picture. And both players trying so hard. Yeah, Sword's going to try Mortal Coil and get another card. Got to make a move to try and get these plot twists. Both players will be feeling the urgency. And also Sword there just getting a bit of tempo on the board. I talked about this. He can play a Summoner next turn. And maybe he can just drain a lot of Tianming's resources by playing some big minions 2 or 3 turns in a row. You don't have to win it with combo. You can just hit your opponent with 8/8s and 9/9s, and turns out that if they can't deal with it, that's usually enough to beat them. Especially as he's seen one of the Moags go. It's an interesting choice of blocker here for Tianming. Just doesn't want any of it. I don't particularly like this from Sword using the one he just drew. As a rule of thumb, you should use the left hand one because your opponent may have a read. And in this particular situation where Sword has done nothing for the first, what, 6 turns now? That's quite a strong read. So there's a good chance, not that you can necessarily use that read for anything. You know, this is an overstated thing by casters. But why give your opponent the information of what the new card is when you could use the one from earlier in the game, and that's fairly obviously what it is. Now, you don't know exactly what those first 5 or 6 cards are, but you know that on average they're quite expensive. Put it that way. Maybe one's a Zephyrus, you know. Anyway, the pressure is maintained, but trading in a Dark Skies does clear this all up. And you will notice that while I have been chuntering on, the plot twist was picked up for Tianming. Wasn't able to play it though because had to deal with last turn's board. But is now going to be first in this plot twisting race, if I'm looking at the pictures correctly on the cards at least. He did win back the board first as I go into panic mode. Yep, recognising the corner of a gold card. It is indeed. And getting that plot twist played is massive here for Tianming. He's getting 0 mana cards. You see how often 0 mana cards get nerfed? That's kind of the point of having them in your deck in this. And early on is the time to not be scared. Yeah. No, yeah. No, yeah. No, yeah. Make your mind up, caster and player. Now is the time to not be scared. I guess he's just wondering if he should Nether Breath and trade before he plot twists. But just plot twists. There's loads of removal in the deck. There's another Moarg. And worst case, your opponent's not going to kill you yet because 9 mana and no completed quest. There's no nonsense going to happen here. You can't be scared of every single ghost. You'll get some of these cards back. Probably like half of them nearly. There is an option to Nether Breath to get your Zephyrus and Alexstrasza active more quickly. That's a thing to consider, but really just do this. And the problem with taking so long is the animation is a painful animation. And now Tianming is not going to be able to respond to what he's drawn easily. Goes for the Seamat. He's now got to select 2 things. I think I might have just plopped down the Summoner there. But he's confident in his speed, so fair enough. And that turn ended up fine, but there was danger there. The caster spidey sense of this is going to be a disaster was starting to get going. But fair play, I was wrong. Tianming got everything done. Sword. Still miles from completing the quest. Well, it's picking up plot twists away from completing the quest. And now I have to look every turn to see if Tianming's got lethal or not. At the moment, probably not. But if Malygos comes to hand, and he's got so much damage in that pickup, I imagine that lethal would be there sooner rather than later. Right. Now the mechanical part of the game. That's a lot of damage. 15, 14, 13. 2 5s. I'm trying to add this all backwards. So can you do 13 from hand with 8 mana? Surely it's there. I hope he does a better job of adding it up than I'm doing. I think it's there with the Blood Mage, the Nether Breath, the Rain, and then Soulfire last. So you Alexstrasza, you put your opponent to 13 by attacking face. You play Blood Mage, that's 2 mana. Then you Nether Breath for 5, your opponent's on 8. That's 4 mana spent. You Rain for 2. I can't work it out. Or rather, I can't find a lethal. Was it there? He did the right thing though. He got to the same point I did of I don't think there's a lethal, because there's a lot of factors in there like blowing up your own Blood Mage, trying to work out what Zephyrus might have given as well. And I'm still trying to work it out. It's not my job to work it out, it's my job to move on. But I wonder if there's a lethal there or not. Anyway, can sword not die? That was a long old pause for your opponent to have. Okay, well, he's also had a whole turn to look at it. I've been sort of looking at everything. Well, that's it. That's definitely lethal. Even I can work this one out. You play the Blood Mage and you just launch all sorts of damage to face. 2 lots of 5. 3 lots of 5. There's a 1, which is 2 more as well at the end. Yeah, how much damage would you like? And Sword can't believe it. I think he can believe it. He just didn't draw plot twist in his first 21 cards. When that happens, you're not going to win the game in the mirror. And Tianming takes a 1-0 lead. Okay, last hero standing, so the Warlock will stay on. And we'll be taking on the Demon Hunter. Big hand here for Tianming. The rain is the key to this matchup. Oh! Threw away a sidekick sword there. I'm surprised. The reason I'm surprised is because playing around the dark skies, I'm sure I just call the dark rain. Playing around the dark skies is the absolute key to this matchup. And for 1 mana, you get 4 health. You're constantly racing the dark skies, so it goes up by 2 every turn with the draw and the tap. It gets bigger. And so being able to spend 1 mana to put 4 out of the way, that's 2 turns worth of tapping and drawing that you get out of the way for the Warlock. But he's going for the more aggressive route, which is understandable. So this is 6, so again, he's not so bothered about the dark skies. And I talk about this every time. It's not because the dark skies is in hand. In fact, I nearly stopped talking about it at one point because the dark skies was drawn so rarely that I started to wonder if I was just going insane. But here, coining out the Umberwing would have defended against this. Well, they would have been weak to some other things. Like the actual Rain of Fire. But a little bit weak looking now. It's a weird matchup. You would think that the Warlock is, well, I mean, yeah, clear how you like, is a huge underdog because of the tapping and the quest not really being relevant. You'd think that maybe they'd throw the quest away, but it turns out that if you throw the quest away, the Demon Hunter just keeps drawing more cards when you've cleared them out, and eventually they'll get you if you haven't got a way to win. So even though it's a card kind of wasted in the early game, having the quest as the Warlock is actually important. Otherwise you don't get to finish the game that you have won, is the way that I like to put it. You don't get to prove your victory. And the Demon Hunter will do some shenanigans with Chaos Strikes or with Skulls and just draw some more cards and put more damage into you. This looks like it's going to be deeply unpleasant, having to Soulfire early here. Not going to bother. Okay, I think I Soulfire there. You have to draw the line sometimes, I guess, as to how much removal you're willing to waste, but that looks pretty clean. I don't see how this gets better once the Blood Mage is dealt with. Obviously Soulfiring is terrifying, you can lose one of your good cards, but Demon Hunters do slow down, at least when you run out the first wave of stuff. Not that it's going to look like it in this game. I think Sword has just kept the pressure on the entire game, in this particular one. See how Tianming approaches this. Like, he must have had a plan last turn. Oh, this is going to work out. I was going to say it's going to work out well. It's going to work out okay. Sword going fairly all in here, but look at the damage he has in hand available for next turn. So Netherwing, and this is the Soulfire that he held off on before. He's just taken an extra 6 damage that he didn't need to, in my opinion. Is this lethal? Yes. Oh, now it's super lethal. But it was lethal anyway. 4 damage from the... or 3 damage from the strikes, so it wasn't lethal anyway. Surely it is now. My Demon Hunter counting's a little bit warped because almost every card has changed since this match was played. Well, yeah, this looks like super duper lethal. I was wrong the first time, but not the second time, I don't think. Just a million damage. It's actually only 1 over, or exacties. Yeah. Thought it was more than that. Anyway, job done. And it goes to 1 apiece. Very quickly done there. And Demon Hunter on the rampage. Remember that Druid was banned out here, so Sword has access to the best 2 decks in Hearthstone. But this isn't one of the best. This is difficult. Very hard matchup indeed for the Demon Hunter. Interesting to see what he keeps. You keep the Shadow Reaver. It's so good against the Warrior to stop them using their weapon. Especially as it comes down on curve a lot of the time. This is nice. This is a lovely looking hand. We like this hand. At least IG fans like his hand. Mana burn could be important as well. This is just looking pretty nice. Choosing to armor up, you might think that's weird because Battle Rage is a card. Well, until you're going to have a chance to get some Battle Rages off, you've got more pressing issues, and saving your health is important. Despite the fact this being a fairly comfortable matchup for the Warrior does get low on health, does have to fight back, does have to play properly. It's not one you can just blindly stumble through and hope it all goes away. You do have to actually play some Hearthstone, despite the fact that when you do play the Hearthstone, you do rack up that really high win rate. No weapon, that is often the death knell for this particular deck. But Warmaw Challenger into the Battle Fiend. Is usually decent because you copy it the next turn. Okay. I want to see the plan. I'm not convinced by this play at all. Is he being just super greedy with the Battle Rage? You really don't get as much time as Tianming seems to be giving here. Maybe I'm wrong. Like with the Skipper, he will clear up 2 1/1s, draw 3 cards, but in return he'll eat an extra 7 damage. And remember, this Battle Fiend could have been dealt with last turn. Is he fishing for armor smiths? Like, the armor smith in this matchup is a bonus. It's the headline thing that you do as the Warrior to get an armor smith and get out of range, and the Demon Hunter just can't keep up. But it's not the main game plan. And with the... if he played the Warmaw Challenger last turn, that Warmaw Challenger would be trading into 1/1s now, and he'd have another one from the Mercenaries. I am not at all convinced by the lines in this game. Anyway, Tianming finally gets a weapon. The game can begin now. Deciding to play the Brute first. Downside with that is that he doesn't get a lackey this turn. The upside is he doesn't take any damage and can challenge the board. I'd like to have seen... I guess the Brute was cheap enough here. This is okay. I'm still in rant mode over the last turn a little bit. Interested to see if he frees his face or not here. Yeah, no risks taken. I like this. And that looked like he was trading here. Makes sense because it can't be copied then. Sword showing good understanding of this matchup. No particular hurry. You always feel like you're in a hurry as the Demon Hunter, and to be able to take your time is quite the virtue here. Equips the weapon. Doesn't play the Sky Raider. And appears to be saving up for a big Battle Rage. Well, Sword maybe has the read here. See what he does. I think you can probably play the Battle Fiend out. You don't have to do anything here. A Sword. Next turn you can drop the entire hand. Yeah? These plays are all so easy when you can see both hands, but it's much, much harder when you're actually sat there with that hand and you choose to do nothing. Because you've seen one skipper, you know, you're pretty much thinking you're quite safe, but why not be safer? So this is the Battle Rage that Tianming has been headed for a while. He is going to clear the board. And he's still on 20 health, so maybe he gets it done. But now look at this turn. And the big deal here is that Sword has seen the two skippers go now. So now he has license to just throw things everywhere. Cards, minions, Battle Fiends. No safety first. He's done the safety first part of this particular game. And now it's try and kill your opponent before they kill you. This is the bit that warriors often forget, but Tianming has kept an eye on that particular part. Is, you know, you've got to kill the Demon Hunter. It's gonna keep coming at you. But look at all this stuff. Oh my goodness. And Tianming facing down lethal damage next turn. Burgle something amazing would be my advice here. Like something really, really amazing. I don't think anything else really works. Maybe it does, but I'd be burgling and hoping here. And probably kicking myself at some of the plays that have transpired in this game as well. Maybe you can discover Holy Nova. There you go, there's a card that seems to help. For one turn. Can he set up his own lethal? No. Can get it cleared up here with the Deathwing, which does mean there's lethal available soon, but this eye beam off the top was kind of the only out, as it turns out. I was quite critical of Tianming there, but he did find a clean way to set up a winning situation. Quite tricky choices now. Sword might even go for mystery choice here. Okay, I'm quite happy with blurs are taken. I don't like mystery choice being taken, so anything else I think is good. Blur does give him the option to clear up one last nightmare. But yeah, I think that the play with the Deathwing was definitely better than just hench clanning and hoping. Inner Rage picked up. Means that he's got 12 burst damage whenever he wants it now. He's got to be alive to want it. And it does look like... Well, he can just trade. Ironbark seems good. This all makes sense now. And also he can actually Ironbark and then Inner Rage and then Mercenaries and get 2 big taunt minions here. So for all my whining and bleating, he may well get this one done. That's a heck of a lot for Sword to have to get through. This is going to need to be a really good skull. And skulls have been known to be really good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Remember the blur that he took? How good that looks now. Oh my. I think he can get through. This is ridiculous. It's lethal. Well, I don't even know what happened in that game. Tianming, I felt, did not play the start well at all. Then he found the Deathwing play, got himself to lethal range. I-Beam came off the top. And then he found this great play to make 2 huge minions. But Sword spent a lot of time on that pick earlier from the Scoundrel. Picked up the blur, and that has got him the win. And he's 2-1 ahead, and value for it. And now it's Demon Hunter against Druid, and this matchup got a little tiny bit better with the inclusion of Emerald Explorer. In fact, it got quite a bit better, but quite a bit better than really horrible is still pretty horrible. Sword's job is just to play something that does damage every turn onto the board. Force Tianming to have to keep answering it. That will slow down Tianming's abilities to cycle, to fungal, all that stuff. He has to kill everything you play because otherwise it spirals out of control. So yeah, just playing stuff. Curious if he holds back here. Probably will because he's got no other damage in hand. Has a minion that relies on attacks, so one charge he'll want to use next turn to swing with the Overseer as Isira gets discarded. And then who knows what he might need the other charge for, depending what comes off the top of his deck. Demon Hunter, I think the class in all of Hearthstone that plays the top of its deck. I used to give that credit to Druid, but you're constantly thinking, okay, well, I've got one more swing on my weapon. Will I draw another weapon, in which case I wish I'd used a swing? Will I draw an Overseer? Will I draw an Adept? Well, I wish I had the extra swing. And again, now he's got the Twin Slice. That matters a lot less. Matters a lot more since the nerfs. The Twin Slice costing 1. Much more important. Now we need to keep an eye on whether Sword is able to get through an Emerald Explorer. It's going to be a while, but this is, despite how weird it looks, the way to play this. You've got to stop yourself from dying. And much as he'd like to have ramped, I'm quite happy with the fact that he has done it this way. Sword looking for something to do. This could be where, as he gets Altruist again, this could be where Demon Hunter can struggle a touch. And now he has to swing, so he doesn't waste that damage. In the games where it doesn't draw any minions, can just become a little bit awkward, and a massive relief for Tianming to be able to get that ramp off. And then next turn, this whole game is going to go nutty. Sword has 2, 4, 5, 6 available damage with the Altruist. Plus he'll also obviously load up his weapon, so it's going to be able, because one of those is an I-Beams, that's 9, he's going to be able to clear off the Mount Cellar and all of the, I don't know what they are, the mounts, I guess, the beasts that come off it. And if there's no taunts, I was assuming there's going to be some taunts. This could just be lethal. See if we'll do a better job of counting it than last time. It's harder than it may sound when you're used to Twin Slice doing 2 damage per iteration. Even picks up the Battle Fiend, which is an extra point. There's nothing worse than watching all this complete gibberish unfold. It's not going to be lethal, but it's going to be absolutely massive amounts of damage. I think you just get all that damage in there while you can. Everything's counting double. There you go. Your turn. Nothing bad happened here. And Sword is on match point, which would put IG to 8 and 4, but it's not over yet. The Iron Bark coming to make this interesting. The Crystal Power will get rid of the Altruis. Maybe Sword can't get through it this time. Maybe I'm running into the rant a little bit early. Can he tank the damage enough times though? Hasn't got enough charges on the weapon. And doesn't find lethal. Tianming could be an overflow away from getting right back into this series. Okay, Swords going to clear up the Mount Seller. So does have lethal available next turn now. And I think I'll play the 2 0 mana cards just for a distraction here. Absolutely. And now he's just set up a win through the Adept. And that's going to seal it, unless... I don't know what this dragon would have to be. Not of any of those. IG go to 8 and 4. They're the first team to reach 8 wins. And VK, who started off at 6 and 2, and were looking very good for it, are now 6 and 6 and in the middle of the pack. IG look like they're going to be in front at the end of this week. That means they will get to pick which team they don't face in the vital 3rd phase. And Sword, even though this is clearly over, is, you know, really nervous. Shows you what this means to these players. And there you go. His job is complete. IG 8 and 4 at the end of the 2nd phase.